Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
The Adventures of Batman.
Welcoming you to the new adventures of Batman.
Welcome to episode 7 of Batmanimation, a Batman on Film podcast, revisiting the animated adventures of the Cape Crusader. I'm senior contributor Javi Trujillo, and joining me is a man who loves the adventures of Batman on film so much that he created web TV just so he could use it to make a website dedicated to Batman on film. Bill Jet Raimi. So, Bill, how are those web TV royalties treating you? Did they help pay off stately BOF Ranch with them by now?
No, that didn't last. No, didn't help, man. Technology just passed web TV up in a blink of an eye, unfortunately.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
That was really innovative of you to come up with that.
Yeah.
Just because you love Batman so much.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
So today we're going to be covering an episode from the Batman, specifically season 4, episode 6, Strange New World, or if you're on HBO Max, it's season 3, episode 5. I haven't figured out how they're different than IMDb, but HBO's going to do their own thing. But this episode originally aired November 18th, 2006, which was a Saturday. This was back when Saturday morning cartoons were a thing. I know we've talked about that on prior episodes. I know Lauer's mentioned it. And the synopsis reads, Batman faces a race against time to discover an antidote to Professor Strange's deadly toxin that has turned the citizens of Gotham into zombies. So given that this is October, we're going into spooky season here, so we have a more horror-oriented Batman episode to talk about today. The cast includes Rino Romano as the Batman, Evan Sabara as Robin, Alistair Duncan as Alfred, Danielle Judovitz as Batgirl, Richard Green is Professor Hugo Strange, and Mitch Pileggi is barely heard as Commissioner Gordon. It was written by Joseph Kerr and directed by Anthony Chun. So going into this episode, if you've started watching the Batman from the beginning, there's a theme song that was written by The Edge, who also, participated in music for Batman Forever, being part of U2. But for season 3, they debuted a new theme song, and I'm curious which one you prefer for the Batman.
The original by The Edge.
Really?
Yes. Much more than what they went with. I didn't care for the updated version that they started in season 3 that much. I love that little the Edge, that little guitar riff type melody.
It's
a lot.
It's definitely more mysterious and plays into that aspect of the character. But see, my money would have been on the newer one because it kind of feels like it's working in some of the 66 theme song a little bit. It's a little more peppy, a little updated, kind of poppy, fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I hear notes from the Neil Hefti theme.
I think probably I feel that way because I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons of this series the most because it was more solo Batman. And I think they started going with this new, more upbeat, going for maybe something more, heroic and not as dark or mysterious, because they were now starting to include Robin and then Batgirl, and and then when it ended, the series ended, it was almost like it was DC characters popping up quite often. So I think I didn't check. I have the Blu-ray, the complete series, but just I covered this series. I think I reviewed every single episode of this series back in the day, and I think as far as airing, this actually took place in season 4, the next to last series. I can check with the Blu-ray because the Blu-ray has them divided up by season. I think IMDb is correct. I don't know what HBO. I don't know what HBO Max is doing because they are changing a lot of this.
They are
In terms of what they call what number the season is and so forth, because of I don't know why. I can't explain it, but it's not jiving with the actual historical chronology.
Yeah.
From what I gather, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I meant to go check because Jack has them all, the original DVD
Mhm.
sets, like the season sets, and I meant to check before we recorded and forgot. But it's very interesting because this isn't the only show that they've done that with.
Mhm.
But one thing I like about this show is that, to your point, is like it does have an evolution of Batman that mirrors the comics in some respects, where he starts off as a loner, the police don't trust him,
Mhm.
and by year 3 they bring in Batgirl to trick it up.
Mhm.
I remember reading that was due to Teen Titans going on at the time using Robin, and then once that kind of ended, then they brought in Robin, so they
Okay.
changed the chronology of things. And then by you get that kind of Bat family going, and like you said, it becomes kind of like a Justice League show. And I would
Yeah.
assume then by that point Justice League Unlimited was wrapping up its run, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why they were allowed to use stuff.
Yeah.
And to get into like a Batman on film side of things, I remember reading that characters like Scarecrow and Ra's al Ghul, Two-Face weren't allowed to be used because at the time, Nolan was
Mhm.
using them for the films. Um, and of course, this started way before he would have figured out that Catwoman and Bane were going to be in The Dark Knight
Yeah.
Rises. So there's a couple glaring omissions from characters, I feel like, in the show. I was trying to pick an
Yeah.
episode. I was like, well, what's the Scarecrow episode from this show? I'm like, I can't remember one. I'm scrolling and scrolling. I'm like, oh, there isn't one at
Yeah.
all. There is no Scarecrow in the show.
It was weird how Warner Brothers and DC, I guess, to a certain extent, were so prohibitive of stuff like that back then.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's changed a lot over the years, but it was it was like with the Clayface character was kind of a pseudo Harvey Dent,
Yeah.
kind of I remember I think reading that back in the day, it was kind of obvious, but yeah, I mean, but they used the Joker, right? Because this came out, it kind of coincided with Batman Begins. It was
It started
Yeah.
in September of 2004.
Yes, yeah,
So
it was
about a year before, a little less than a year before Batman Begins dropped.
But I remember there was some corporate symmetry there where, okay, we have a new Batman movie coming out, so we're going to drop a new animated Batman series a little before, because Batman Begins had been filming for quite a while and had been in development while this thing came about, and going with a younger Batman like Nolan did in Begins with Christian Bale. It was kind of they often did that kind of stuff. Well, we got a new Batman movie coming out, let's get a new Batman animated series. So it was kind of trying to piggyback off each other, I guess. There's gonna be a new Batman movie, so we'll have this animated series come out.
And as an adult at the time, well, I guess I'm still an adult, but one with a young kid during that era, I appreciated having something I could watch with him,
Mm-hmm.
that was geared towards them, and then I could have my, adult Batman with the Nolan series with more complex themes.
I would say, and also it started out, it wasn't very overtly, I guess the way to put it, kiddified, if that makes any sense. In the beginning, it kind of moved that direction when they started bringing in the sidekicks and stuff. And still, I think most of the shows were really well written, and the animation was very good. And it was something that it just wasn't. I think something adult Batman fans could enjoy. I like the series overall. Hell, it got 5 seasons, which is
it wouldn't have reached 5 if it wasn't any good.
Yeah, it got 5 seasons, and hell, we only got 3 of Brave and the Bold, and they barely started the Beware the Batman. So anyway, just some historical backdrop info on this series. So
this is the first time we're covering it.
First time we've done
for Batmanimation. So
the Batman. Yeah,
definitely got to talk about the context. But this episode opens, it hooks you right in. It opens in media res with Gotham's burning. Batman's giving his final entry in his combat log. And we see like there are signs, like banners around Gotham that say Bruce Wayne, Gotham's White Knight, which watching it now in 2022, this came out before The Dark Knight, where we hear a lot about Harvey Dent being the White Knight, and before Batman White Knight, Sean Murphy's just opus, his own universe. So it's funny to see its origins in something, prior to all that. But he gets attacked by zombie versions of Batgirl and Robin. Then we go to the credits, and then we flash back to 48 hours ago. So opening, everything's red because it's on fire, but then we kind of get to the flashback, and this Gotham is obviously, it's different because you have different people designing the show and the look of it, and they wanted to differentiate themselves from the animated series, which Gotham typically tended to either be black for like night or red like their night skies. Here it's like this weird purple, and it's not just that it's like purple for night, but I noticed too with it, it's like swirly, like the sky has a lot of swirls in it, and it kind of made me feel like if Batman the animated series is more of like a Tim Burton type thing. I mean, it definitely is. It uses a lot of the musicality and inspiration from the first 2 Burton films.
Yes.
Then maybe the Batman is kind of Schumachery in the sense that, well, there's definitely
more color,
a toyetic aspect to the show with the Batwave and multiple bat costumes, but just color wise, it's a very, very vibrant show. Kind of making this like the Schumacher of the Batman.
I remember reading
series
when it came out that first thing I remember when they announced it and it was going to be a younger Batman. I assumed it was going to be just a prequel kind of to Batman the Animated Series, and then come to find out they did completely their whole different thing. And it was, and there was some nods, of course, to the 60 series, especially with the type of gadget you had, the bat wave thing, that was kind of something you would see in the 60s series with the gadgets and whatnot. So but I mean, they did a different, I mean, it's Batman. And I think they mentioned kind of having a anime vibe. I never got it totally having a overt anime vibe, but I mean, that was some of the talk back, we're talking 16 plus years ago. So
especially then where anime wasn't quite in the mainstream like it is now. so maybe people were less familiar with it. Now you've got YouTube and all the different streaming services, so there's all sorts of anime you can get access to. But back in 2004, you were going to your video store to rent stuff. So maybe just it got lumped in with that because there was an unfamiliarity with it. But yeah, I remember the Batwave stuff. I never had a whole lot from this series. I had a basic Batman figure that could grapple up on his thing, and a Joker, and then a Bruce Wayne that changed into Batman figure. And Jack had like a yellow scuba diver Batman, that like just bright yellow, like Batman's never wearing this ever.
This was straight up in Jake's wheelhouse. Jake was like 3, 4, 5, 6, preschool, and then early elementary when this was out. And he had the bat suits that were modeled after the Batman animated, this one, the Batman.
Team Yellow Oval.
He had the Batmobile that you could drive. He was going to driveway, and it was electric, and it, run around. It was, made for that. And he had, I don't know, probably every action figure that was put out for this. Micah was older, and he, I think you talked to him. He was into Batman Beyond. That was his thing, And my daughter she wasn't as much of a Batman fan as the boys, but she just watched whatever. So it was on.
Right.
But so Micah's was Batman Beyond, and Jake's, his thing was the Batman as a kid. So
was there an interactive component with? I thought there was supposed to be something with the Batwave where it would flash on the screen and it would activate something with some of the toys. Does that sound
I don't
familiar?
remember. No, I don't remember. I know there was one that came with that Batmobile Jake had. That was, you would mount on there and you could take it off. I don't remember the interactive part, and that's not saying it didn't happen. I don't remember it though.
I mean, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I thought it was interesting too that Hugo Strange in this, it's the first series for Batman where he's made more than one appearance. And I feel like his design, it looks like Danny DeVito, but with like sunglasses to me, like the Danny DeVito Penguin. Like he's just got this, he's heavy set, versus the comics. Hugo Strange is very tall and bald and somewhat muscular, glasses. But this is just, he's got glasses, but he's got like this long, stringy Danny DeVito Penguin hair. And
he's almost like a effed up looking Benjamin Franklin in a way.
Yeah.
He had this, his upper lip was like extraordinary. I mean, his the area between his nose and upper lip and his lips, that area was super, his feet was super long. He was just had this really exaggerated facial features in a way, I thought I thought the take on Hugo Strange was pretty good in the Batman. There were some interpretations of some of the characters that never jived with me all that much. I didn't like it's Mr. Freeze. Wasn't a huge fan of the Joker's aesthetic, but that's discussion for another episode.
That is another podcast.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it's probably time for a word from our sponsor, Bill.
Oh, let's hear it.
Let's hear it. So the basic plot for this is Strange is going to release a toxic agent into Gotham's air. It happens to be odorless, invisible, and extremely fast acting. And he says it's going to twist the body and weaken the mind, turning those infected into monstrous living drones, zombies answerable only to Strange. So each will become a carrier, infecting others, and if the antidote isn't administered into 48 hours, it becomes irreversible. So Strange claims to have already taken the antidote before dropping a vial of it in front of Batman and Robin that purportedly contains it. So that explains where we come from with the 48-hour
Mhm.
aspect of it. And I like the ticking time bomb aspect to the show, because it kind of like that escape from New York feel where he's got a, X amount of time to figure this problem out. And right away, the zombies start attacking Batman and Robin at Arkham. And they kind of remind me of like mini Solomon Grundys. Like they're very gray skinned, white patchy hair. Like when Batgirl gets turned, she looks, almost like a grandma Batgirl, because just
yeah,
her hair all of a sudden is just white and she's all shriveled, and like everyone gets all mangled up.
yeah.
Um, so Batman and Robin get away, and we cut back to them in the Batmobile analyzing everything. And the Batwave analysis shows that the air is safe to breathe. So that just, one way that they keep bringing in the Batwave several times. Like if you haven't seen this show, like the Batwave controls everything. I don't really think like Bluetooth was even a thing back in 2004.
I don't think so.
Was it? But I mean,
I don't
now
recall.
with, everyone's got their Alexas and their other home devices, their Kimmies.
Mm-hmm.
And, this was all well before that, where
Yes,
he has everything connected. But then they go to the GCPD. We get like this great reveal of Gordon, just kind of stepping out from the silhouette of the bat signal. And then we get into a fight scene, and I really dug the animation here. Like it's very fluid, it moves really quickly, but it looks good. It felt very dynamic. And what I loved about this Batman is like he's so adept at his martial arts and his fighting skills that like he does this crazy flip over Gordon. Like the camera kind of slows, and like he takes his batarang in one hand and he's got a vial in the other, and he slices Gordon's hair and stuffs him in the vial before he lands.
Yeah, I would say
he's flipping.
The Batman took more liberties with the laws of physics than Batman the Animated Series did, its predecessor. Even though it's both were animated, and there's still, they do things that you couldn't do in real life. But this one really, I mean, just they jump up 10 feet in the air and backflip and things like that. But it didn't make me blink an eye. Just it was part of the show, and I went with it.
Yeah. No, I just thought it was really, really fun and really funny. Just like how Batman he is. And they take it back to the cave to study it, and somehow Alfred is infected in the cave. Like he already had initiated whatever lockdown protocols, so they're shocked that this happened. So they're getting surrounded, and Batman has to go back to Hugo Strange to talk to him, and all of a sudden now he's got like these little chin whiskers. Like it's been that haggard of a couple hours that he's starting to grow stubble, which I can't really think of too many times that we see Batman like that in animation, especially in so quick a time frame.
Yeah, that's rare. I'm trying to think back different animated. I don't remember it maybe other than this. Now I'm excluding the animated films. There could be some in that, but I'm not. It comes to my mind immediately. But yeah, I think this may be it.
And he goes back to Strange, and he offers to remove his mask for the antidote, which I appreciated as a comics fan, because a lot of Hugo Strange stories revolve around him trying to figure out Batman's identity and him being obsessed with the cowl. And I couldn't remember if Strange knew Batman's identity in this series yet, if he ever found out, or if he already knew at this point. Well, obviously he wouldn't have known because he was asking for the mask. But that tends to be, one of Hugo's motifs, is that he knows who's underneath the cowl.
I don't know if in this series, because like I said, I watched this it's been since it originally aired. And so it was like watching it brand new. And I haven't really, to be honest, went back, and it's not one of my go-tos, much as I mean, I liked it quite a bit, but the series is not like, I want to watch something animated. I'll go to something Batman, the animated series. I'll go to Brave and the Bold a lot, but this is one I haven't revisited all that much. But I would have to look at some of the other episodes to see if Hugo Strange ever knew Batman's identity in this series.
And it's not long before Robin gets infected as well. So then so now everyone's going after Batman. And there's one point where they're Robin and Batgirl are on top of the Batmobile trying to get in. And like Robin whips out like a Next Generation Star Trek phaser and like starts phasering away like it's the exact same sound effect and everything. That I thought that was kind of funny. But Batman has to escape to go to a satellite Batcave that no one knows about at all. Which I thought was cool. It's like now I don't remember how much. I don't really think there were a lot of satellite caves. Maybe every now and then they would bring it up, but in the last few years in the comics, that's become more of a thing with Bruce losing his fortune and everything like that. So it's kind of
not to say Matt Reeves took anything from the Batman animated series, but when he went to going to that satellite cave, being underground, and you see old trains, that were there, it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. That what Reeves, his version of the Batcave, being an old terminal that was no longer in use under the Wayne Tower. So just reminded me of that. Not saying Reeves did an homage to it, but
but there are nice echoes just throughout all these different iterations of Batman that just help everything to feel more authentic. And while they're fighting, there's definitely these aren't like just mindless zombies where they just moan and that's it. Like they utter words as well, like poison you, destroy. I had to put on the captions because I'm like, what are they saying? Like it doesn't make any sense. And like Robin's like mess ahead. Like I don't get what is going on with this at all. And finally we get back to the beginning of the episode, and Bruce has got his antidotes all whipped up and they're charged to go through the Batwave, time to go off throughout the city. He just has to press a button. And he starts to piece everything together, and that's where we get that world's greatest detective aspect coming out, which it was so Batman to see him like piece everything together. And he was having flashes, and that's what, like, this episode is so all encompassing that we get him as Bruce Wayne and how the public perceives him. We get him in action as Batman and how talented he is, and we get the detective side as well. And I feel like there's a fully rounded Batman in this 22 minutes. So what did you think of this reveal here?
Like the twist and everything? Okay. All right. If you haven't seen this episode, and right now you're listening to this and you're going, I want to watch this, stop listening and come back. Okay. Because there's a good twist that I don't want to reveal, that we're going to reveal and we're going to discuss. It comes off, at first I'm going, okay, this is probably not completely my thing, because it's Batman fighting zombies, right? And we find out okay. Now, this is what I wanted to ask you about. How much is this open to interpretation? It's clearly Batman has been infected, and his allies, including Gordon and Batgirl and Alfred and Robin, are trying to help him. And the things they were saying, is it plays into that because you don't pick it up, like mess head. And it was like Batman telling Robin when they went to Arkham, he's, a brilliant psychiatrist. He'll mess with your head, So it was Batman's whose head had been messed with, So Robin to me was saying, he's messed with your head. So did Batman actually become a zombie, or did he was just infected with whatever chemical was dropped by Strange and just had him hallucinating that everyone in Gotham had become a zombie or turned into zombies?
My take was that he and Robin just were having a shared hallucination that he was not a zombie, because I don't think the way that the zombies were depicted, although they did fight really fast, but then again, that's because they weren't what they were. But I don't think if they were, they would have been able to, do the deductive reasoning or have their skills if they were turned into zombies.
I knew they weren't zombies. Batman had been infected. Batman was having a hallucination. So I'm not saying that to me that, Batman figures it out. Oh, Strange wants me to take this chemical and synthesize it for him and spread it out through Gotham. But I think it was more of, almost like a scarecrow type fear gas hallucination agent as opposed to them actually becoming zombies. So that's where I really enjoyed the twist, and I had forgotten. So it made me really enjoy the episode a lot, to where, and you kind of click, oh, okay, I get it. He's hallucinating all this. So yeah, I was well written. Nice little twist there.
Yeah. And it's one of those things too, where you can then go back and watch it with that new information. Yes. You have a different appreciation.
I you know what? And that's what I did. I watched it on HBO Max this morning on my laptop. First time I watched it, I got up early, and I watched it, and then, okay. Yeah, it was kind of cool. So I went back and watched it again. So I watched it twice this morning, because you get a different, you see it after you know the deal, after you know the twist. It's like watching a completely different episode, even though it's the same episode. Does that make any sense whatsoever?
Yeah. Because when they're saying destroy the first time, you're looking at it, they want to destroy the antidote so they don't, turn back. But now you're looking at it as they want to destroy it because it'll, destroy the city.
Sure.
So it makes it fun trying to see it from the different side of things.
Yep, I'm with you. And we're on the same page. Like when you said that, gave you looking at it a second time, I did look at it a second time, and it was enjoyed both. I enjoyed watching it and without knowing what was going on, and then watching it knowing what was going to happen, because it like I said, it's like watching a different episode.
Yeah, and it was just something, I picked, like, well, this looks spooky. It's got zombies and it's October. Let's do, but it wound up being like a really solid episode.
Yeah, very much. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
And the characters are so, there's nothing weird. You don't have to seen like the prior 3 seasons to get into this. Like, everyone's in their status quo. Like, if you know generally who Batman, Robin, Batgirl, Gordon, and Alfred are, like, you can just throw in this episode and watch it.
Sure. That would be anybody, even if you're not a diehard Batman fan, because you know who Robin is, you know who Alfred is, you know who Batgirl is, so you're right. It's kind of a self-contained little thing, and you don't have to have any previous viewing, episode viewing to just watch it as a one-off.
Yeah. If you've never seen the Batman before, like, you can show anyone this episode and they can get as much enjoyment out of it as anyone else.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool.
Yep, with you.
Do you have any like favorite moments from the episode?
The twist,
Yeah.
yeah. The reveal.
I mean, that's
the Batman was hallucinating. It was fun, and
Yeah.
the fact that Batman was strong enough mentally, even though that he was under the spell of some, drug concoction of Hugo Strange, that he was able to have enough logic and enough sense to put it all together that, okay, maybe he's really, he is using me to do what he wants to do to poison Gotham. And and this things aren't the way it seems my reality is right now. And he was, like, if I'm wrong, then, Gotham is doomed, because he threw away the little Batwave activator thing. So
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it was just a really solid episode.
Yeah. Sure was. I'm with you.
Any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Well, it makes me I'm glad you picked this episode. I mean, it's cool for October, and everyone watching the scary movies and getting ready, leading up to Halloween and stuff. So if you're a Batman fan and then you want to watch something that's Batman spooky kind of sorta, and if you like zombies, watch this episode. So makes me want to go back and look at some more, in our Batmanimation podcast, revisit some more of the Batman as well, because this, like I said, I don't know if I've watched not many of these episodes for a long time.
Yeah, and I remember there being somewhat of a serialized aspect in the earlier seasons when it came to the two detectives.
Yeah.
And so I kind of wanted to go back, having watched this, like, I kind of want to go back and watch those and see how that all plays out.
I will say, just speaking of this series, is that they did that one animated film, Batman versus Dracula.
Yes.
That's pretty solid,
That is, yeah. And you get Vicky Vale in that too.
Yeah. It's a little solid animated film. And if you haven't watched that, check it out. And I'm sure at some point that'll show up here at Batmanimation. We'll cover that
film.
Yeah.
We just got to find the time.
Yep.
I want to get Lauer on, and that gentleman is just as busy as Pete Vera with podcasts, especially this month. So
yeah. I'm trying to figure out, I've been doing a little research. I'm trying to work in Beware the Batman here soon. So I'm gonna go revisit some of those episodes. And I think I might just go with, I'm thinking about going with that very first episode that introduced the show. I think it's with Professor Pig.
Yes. No, I definitely want to do that one because of the Morrisonian characters and ties.
Yeah, for sure.
So
okay. Well, yeah. Not to go off on a tangent of Beware the Batman, but yeah, we're gonna try to work in even I'm trying to go back and do some deep pulls from that very first animated Batman series, Adventures of Batman, and then the one in the 77, The New Adventures of Batman, which was that one that was not one of the best ones. The New Adventures of Batman. Have you ever watched any of those?
As a kid, it's so blurry in my memory.
It had even as a kid, I'm thinking, I'm not kind of liking it. It had like the worst interpretation of Batmite I've ever seen, ever.
Oh God.
Yeah. Anyway,
it wasn't Paul Rubens, huh?
No.
All right.
That's a pretty good one there. The one from Brave and the Bold.
Well, Bill, where can people find you? Because I know you're hard to find.
Yes, you can find me at Batman on Film, the website batman-on-film.com. And the only thing else I would mention is that if you want to advertise on this show, any of these shows, the Batman on Film shows, go to advertisecast.com/Batman on Film. It's ADVERTISECAST.com/Batman on Film. And then if you want to contribute, help keep this thing up and running, Go to patreon.com, patreon.com/Batman on Film, and do what you feel like you want to do. And that's all I got.
All right. That's pretty simple. As for me, I am at Javi True on Twitter. The Bond is not enough on Instagram. I've got some James Bond comic reviews at the JamesBondDossier.com. And of course, you can find me at BatmanOnFilm.com, where what am I talking about this month, Bill? Catwoman, Batman the Night. Oh, tomorrow, as of this recording, tomorrow, the October 3rd, Gotham Year One review coming to Batman on Film.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert for the review. Pick up the book.
It's
Pick it up.
I read it. It is fresh.
Yes.
Something fresh. Is that
I'm pretty sure I used that word in my review.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's very fresh.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it a lot. So, I mean, you never know with King.
Yeah.
You never know how it's going to turn out in the end, which can be good or bad. But solid first issue.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So y'all check out that review tomorrow.
All right, but that is it. For Bill, I'm Javi, and announcer Rachel will take us out.
Thanks for listening to Batmanimation, a BatmanOnFilm.com podcast revisiting the animated TV and film adventures of the Caped Crusader. Follow Batmanimation on Twitter at Batmanimation. Follow BOF on Twitter at The Batman on Film. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film. For Jet and Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the original, established in 1998.